On this week's Tuesday Talk, we are answering a question from a viewer about how we get the things done that we need to get done
when we don't live in one place.
Some of the things that he was specifically asking about was like how you find your favorite foods if you don't have the same grocery stores, doctors and dentist appointments, and truck maintenance, for example.
Yeah, so something my parents did. They full-time RV'd for 13 years. They did this, just what we're doing now, in a larger rig for 13 years. And one thing that they did is they found themselves a home base. Even though they didn't have a house in that city, they found a city. It was the city that I happened to be living in, that they would come back to, and they would schedule their regular doctor and dentist appointments in the same city every year.
Yeah.
So if you are around the country a lot, or if you're in a particular area and you tend to roll through a city, or at least you can roll through a city every now and then throughout the year, that makes it easy to schedule doctors and dentist appointments because it's always the same doctor, the same dentist in the same place.
Yes. And for them, they weren't actually domiciling in Arizona, but their insurance worked out. With the way health insurance is now, it may matter. It may have to be the state you're domiciling in, depending on your insurance. And so keep that in mind as well. For us, we are still residents of Arizona, though our health sharing doesn't require us to go to Arizona doctors.
That's right. Yeah, that's one of the benefits of a health share. You're effectively a cash paying person, but you get reimbursed later, so you can go anywhere you want.
Yeah.
And in our case, we don't even have dental coverage.
We don't.
We're going to be dentaling in Mexico, probably.
Yeah, especially since we're in Arizona a lot anyway. That's where we're going back for doctor's appointments and things.
Lots of full-time RVers do that. We have lots of suggestions for good, reputable dentists down there. So we haven't actually done that yet.
No, we haven't had to.
But we don't really anticipate that being an issue.
So that's doctors and dentists for us. Car maintenance. We're going to be in Tucson. We've had the Dodge looked at the Dodge in Tucson. So that's going to be our main place for getting maintenance done. But when you're on the road, you're going to have to get maintenance done, and you're not going to want to drive all the way back to your estate to do that.
And car maintenance, like oil changes and those kinds of things, any dealership or even a Jiffy Lube, depending on the car you have. I mean, oil changes aren't a big deal.
No.
I just brought our Dodge Ram into a local Dodge dealer here in Salt Lake, and it was just fine. In fact, my vehicle was in the system. It's all linked, so they knew exactly what the Tucson dealership did, and it really wasn't a big deal.
Yeah, so we could have just taken it to get the oil change. We knew it needed it, but the brakes were getting squeaky, and so we thought we'd take it in and have them look at it, and indeed we needed to replace the front brakes. And there's been a recall on the passenger side airbag since we got the truck. The Tucson dealership could never do it because of parts.
Yeah, they didn't.
I know.
There was a recall, and the Tucson Dodge dealership, actually any Dodge dealership, did not have the parts.
Yeah.
So this one happened to have parts because it's a couple months later.
So they did.
And yeah, we got that fixed too. So car stuff usually isn't a problem.
The one thing we did do is, obviously when we were in Bryce, there was nothing near us. So I was researching where we were going and what was going to be close to a Dodge dealership. And we did a little bit of looking online at the Dodge dealership because not all dealerships are created equally, and you want to make sure you're not taking your truck somewhere where they're going to cause more damage than do good. This one had really good reviews, and it was only 30 minutes from where we were boondocking. So
if you have a good mechanic and you really trust this guy, it's kind of the same thing with doctors and dentists. If you can schedule a time to roll back through the same area where you get all that kind of stuff done at the same time, the major stuff that costs money, that's probably the smart thing to do.
Yeah.
And when you're out and about and something happens, it is what it is. Yeah, it happens. Things like that do happen, and you just have to
roll with it.
Yeah, take care of it the best you can. But yeah, domicile without a home in a particular place, that's always a smart thing to do.
Other things like, I think the commenter mentioned hair appointments. For me, not you.
I have a hair appointment in the bathroom with a trimmer every couple weeks, and that's about as difficult as I get.
And I, as many of you know, have a fabulous hairdresser in Tucson, And so during this time, I'm just growing my hair out. I probably won't actually go and see anybody until we get back in Tucson in the fall. So that's it for me. Meanwhile, puppies. Patty needs to get groomed every 6 weeks or so because she's a poodle. And we started taking her to PetSmart in Tucson before we left. So that
Because it's nationwide.
Because it's nationwide. And her information, again, is in the system. So all we have to do is find a PetSmart close by and just go online and book it. And they have everything. And it's the same price. And so that makes that really easy, too.
Yeah, most things are linked now. So you don't really need to be in the same place all the time. Especially when you're dealing with nationwide retailers.
We also mostly do our grocery shopping at Costco and Walmart. Again, on purpose, because you can find Costco's and Walmart's almost anywhere.
And some Walmarts, not all Walmarts, but some Walmarts have a really decent produce selection,
They do.
too.
They do.
In fact, one in St. George, we were there a few weeks ago, had an excellent produce department.
Yeah.
Really surprised me.
Yeah, compared to the one we had in Tucson.
Yeah,
so
sure.
we will hit up other grocery stores and things like that, especially for produce, which is mostly what we're buying. But our bulk stuff we get at Costco because we know that they have it and we like it. And
yeah, Costco is always consistent almost to the selection everywhere you go.
Yeah, you might
It's
not
really
have
nice.
some things in one store versus another, but a lot of the stuff's the same. Mm-hmm. So that's what we do. We tried to find places that would be consistent wherever we went as best we could, and then we supplement when we have to. I guess that's what life on the road's like.
That's right.
Yeah. So that's it for this week. If you guys have a question for a future Tuesday talk, leave it in the comments below. We'd be happy to answer it.
And by the way, the reason why we're recording this indoors is because we're right next to Utah Lake. It's windy out there, and there are tons of bugs. So they've driven us inside. But that's okay. If that's the worst that we have to deal with, well, the struggle is real.
Yeah. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up.
Mm-hmm.
And subscribe if you haven't already for future Tuesday talks and travel
that good
plans.
stuff.
Yeah. And we will see you next time.
Bye.
Bye, guys.